Hi, I'm Kara. I have CIRS.
I'm Christine. I also have CIRS.
I'm Layla. I don't have CIRS.
Welcome to the CIRS Passionate Group. Be inspired by y'all inflamed individuals looking for answers. We feel your pain. She feels our pain.
It's true, yes. And you as patients.
All right, so here we go. Biotoxin pathway. I'm going to describe it, Layla's going to describe it, and Tristine's going to describe it because I'm going to over-explain, and they're going to explain it a little bit different, less complicated. So you're going to get the fire hose version, and every time you hear a different version, it'll start making more sense. So basically, you encounter toxins, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 20 times, not 100 times, but hundreds of thousands of times. If the toxin's in your home, you go home every day. That's 365 times every breath of the year. This is an inhaled exposure in air that is toxic. It is a skin exposure if a brown recluse bit you. It is seafood poisoning if you had a bunch of food poisoning with raw or reef fish. It's cat litter disease if you got toxoplasmosis or garden in an area where cats are pooping in your yard all the time, which is... we like to garden around here. So, after the, 15 millionth time you've been exposed to this, or one brown recluse spider bite, you get a genes change. So these toxins get in, go into the liver, would normally come out, just get recycled over and over and over and over until it triggers a gene response. And your body's trying to create a healthy boundary by acting like a flamethrower and just burning your entire system, and your poor flesh and all your systems are getting involved with this, okay? So these are all the systems this overreaction can lead to once it changes this gene in the brainstem. So this brainstem is in control of multiple hormones, and it goes out and starts infecting all of these systems in your body. We're talking about diabetes, autoimmune, chronic SIBO, allergies all the time, constant GI discomfort. We have reoccurring abortions, increased bleeding through thyroid. We've got cardiovascular inflammation, high LDLs and lipid panels, right? And if you have cardio in your family, that's quite serious, actually. Neuroinflammation and cognitive decline from extreme brain fog and brain inflammation. So we don't want this gene turned on, and once it is, it's like a fire in your house where it's going to burn the whole damn thing down if you don't get on it. And so you go to the doctor, you have this problem. You go to the doctor, you have this problem. You go to the doctor, you have this problem. You go to the doctor, you have this problem. And every time you go to the doctor, you have 11 diagnoses and you think you're falling apart. But they didn't find the source or the gene mutation. So the biotoxin pathway is here for you. I would download this. I would study it. I would read it. Because each section will describe how inflammation kills it.
My turn. So as someone who doesn't have CIRS, I'm still learning this biotoxin pathway, but the way that I've been able to really grasp more of an understanding of it is biotoxins you can get from environmental factors. And there's certain conditions that might feel normal to you because you've always had them, but just because you've always had them, it doesn't mean that they're normal. It doesn't mean that they are something that's supposed to be happening. There's a system that's not working. The question is, why and where is it coming from? So just that, finding the source, not all doctors out there can do, especially if they're not looking for the right thing. So when it comes down to biotoxins and you start experiencing things like heavy brain fog, fatigue, memory loss, unexplained weight gain, unexplained weight loss, all of these physiological responses simply to biotoxins. Now, when it comes to addressing that and helping lower the inflammation, what we have found works the best is being able to get your hands on a binder. And that binder helps cling on to just the crap that's not supposed to be in your body and just shoots it out.
And pets too.
And pets too. We've got various different ones. There's different ones here in the office. We can't prescribe them, but we can get you to a provider that can prescribe them. And it gets the ball rolling in everything. I've seen patients lose weight. I've seen patients get their memory back. I've seen patients have this energy that I hadn't seen before, this zest for life. And it's really inspiring to see patients come in and there's an immediate difference after being on the binder.
Yeah, it's like 10 p.m. and we're rocking it.
My turn. Okay, so to explain a little bit more how I understand the science of it, when I was younger, had always thought, man, I have a stuffy nose. I think that's normal. I guess everyone kind of has a stuffy nose all the time. No, that's not normal. Check yourself. Okay, so you're breathing in these toxins, you get the stuffy nose, but what does that mean? Well, your liver's taking in these toxins, and then it spits them out, and you go down the cycle. Your gallbladder gets them, turns it into bile, it goes into your intestines. Now that's where it's supposed to come out of you. But your intestines reabsorb those toxins, and then it goes back around and around and around, and it never comes out. So that's where the binder comes in. The binder binds to that bile, and then you'll poop it out.
You get to make new bile without toxins.
Yeah.
Amazing. Bile is also part of digestion, so it's also kind of understanding why you have this food discomfort. Some people really notice, wow, I can eat foods differently. I didn't even know I had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So sometimes you don't know what normal is. That's the scary part, right? People will make an assumption that they think it's normal enough. And then after it's been there for a decade and they have 6 problems and they're getting frustrated because none of them go away, then they start jumping on the bandwagon. So why be late? I mean, it's just triple in the price and down the road, and you can't get that decade back. You can't get that 20 years back. Time and knowing early is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the treatment for this is really cheap when you catch it early. When you have a lot of these things, you could have semi-permanent conditions, and that starts getting expensive because you have palliative care for multiple problems. Do you want to restore an old property that has 200 years damage or pop up a new building? You don't want to get to that point where you'd rather just die. And unfortunately, with this condition, people actually feel that way. So I feel very, very lucky being the spicy detective. And when I started having some health problems in my mid-30s, I didn't take simple answers that didn't seem to fix things. I mean, I had been through 11 naturopaths, I don't know how many primaries, and nobody really went into depth. I got to see classic Eric Doringer. He's one of the best doctors when it comes to CIRS. Worked along Richie Shoemaker, who had established this, and this has really only been known since the 2000s. So here we are, 2025, where we've had some momentum behind this. The number one resistance I hear from your primary when you try to take this to them is that there's no research on it. And I will literally forward you the paper of 110 articles that have been written on it and research papers that show that if you follow the protocol, it works 100% of the time. Mm-hmm. So the research is there. Your doctor didn't read it. You can hand it to him or email it to him with our Google Drive that we send you, because it is important to me that they actually know about it. You may be the first person to make them aware of this condition. That is extremely important. You now become part of the educational process and the expansion of people getting answers when you do this. So we commend you on coming on this journey with me. You're watching this because obviously you have multiple tests that have proven you have it. There's no way we have negatively or misdiagnosed you. So we have a group that's going to be meeting. It's a very overwhelming process. As you go in and out of these conditions, the detox process feels good and bad. The cleaning process of your home or getting out of exposures, the toughest step. Step number 1, getting out of exposure. When you go out to your friend's house, when you go to a hotel, when you get on an airplane, when you travel, all of these places are contaminated. Right? You can't walk around the rest of your life with respirators on. I'm sure we'll do a funny video on that. But what's going to happen is if we can just get you out of exposure for a year or 2, okay? Follow me. And we can get you through all the steps. We can turn the gene off and you can become resilient and go back into these places without triggering the gene. It's going to take the emotional work, the cleaning work, the protocol, and the repair, and a good maintenance, right? But this time you're going to be aware of all the triggers that turn the gene on, and you're not going to stack them. Because it was the ignorance that made us unaware, that made us vulnerable. So the knowledge is a permanent cure for the ignorance that let us run into the situation that turned it on, right? Lucky you, you didn't even have to get it yet. All right, hang in there, you guys. Check out our information. We'll have this up for you. Please study it. Please share it with your friends and family. If you know anybody suffering with a misdiagnosis or they have like 30, then maybe they're really a CIRS client, since it is so many of us. We're estimating it's now between 30 and 50% since COVID. COVID and reoccurring COVID infections has added to the list for triggering of the HLA human leukocyte gene mutation. So if you have been one of those people, please reach out to us, because you could have your post-COVID providers missing out on the human leukocyte antigen. It's a very simple blood test to check. Aloha, you guys. Hang in there. And thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us, nerds.